I'm saying it now. If you thought the Android selection was hard last year, take a look this year. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and there are some hot Android smartphones, and it's becoming really, really hard to choose. You know, you've got all kinds of features on one, other features on other, things that matter to you on one, things that matter to you on the other one as well, and it's a tough call, but that's what we're here for, to do dogfights and help you decide which one's the hot Android phone. This time around, I've got Sprint's Samsung Galaxy S3 and Sprint's HTC EVO 4G LTE. Now, both of these pack 4G LTE capabilities. Both have 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPUs. This has a 4.8-inch Super AMOLED HD display. This has a 4.7-inch Super LCD 2 display. Both have 8-megapixel cameras. You can really see the similarities here. One Samsung and one is HTC, and they've got all kinds of features to distinguish them. Which one's the best in the dogfight? We're going to find out. But first, some love to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with Galaxy S3s and EVO 4G LTEs for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your camera settings, all the accessory smart features on this device, and more. So when you walk out the door, be it with your smart case or be it with a cool in case on this one, you'll walk out working. That's enough for Best Buy Mobile. Galaxy S3, EVO 4G LTE. Which one's the hot must-have smartphone of the summer? We're going to find out starting right now. 4G LTE aside, if you're on Sprint, you've got two awesome Android phones. And we're not just talking awesome like I usually say in these videos. These are two truly killer Android phones. On one hand, you have the Samsung Galaxy S3 over here. This thing is coming to Sprint. Not quite sure of the date. The pre-orders ship tomorrow, June 21st, or starting to ship at least if you ordered a 16 gigabyte. 32 gigabyte come next week, and then retail store availability sometime around the 27th or 28th. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, you'll be watching this video again, maybe for a second or third, fourth time, and you'll be like, hey man, I already got my Galaxy S3, I already got my EVO 4G LTE, and I love it. Speaking of, this is the HTC EVO 4G LTE. It's a member, technically, I guess you could call it a member of HTC's One line. You know, the One X, the One S. Even though it doesn't have the One name, it exhibits a lot of features of the HTC One X. But I want you to think of this kind of like an HTC One X on steroids. This one over here is packing a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU. It's got a 4.8-inch Super AMOLED HD display. On the back, you've got an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, your Sprint logo, Galaxy S3, so pretty minimalist when it comes to carrier logos. Nothing over here on the top, and kind of the same setup over here. You really don't get anything outside of the Sprint logo and the HTC logo on the back, so very similar on the EVO 4G LTE as well. 1.9 megapixel front-facing camera. It's got a 2,100 milliamp hour battery. It has 4G LTE capabilities, although Sprint doesn't have any 4G LTE markets rolled out right now. When it does, you'll be able to take advantage of their LTE. And then you have Android 4.0 with Samsung's new version of TouchWiz. Some people are calling it TouchWiz Nature UX. I'm just going to call it the new TouchWiz, which is what Samsung execs and PR people are calling it. Then you have the EVO 4G LTE over here. Same processor, 1.5 gigahertz, dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 CPU, which is really a mouthful when you think about it. But it's got a 4.7-inch Super LCD, 2 HD display, an 8-megapixel camera on the back. So both of these have 720p displays. 8-megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording, a front-facing camera, Android 4.0 with HTC Sense version 4. So this is the Mac Daddy of the One X line. This is obviously the Mac Daddy right now in Samsung's device lineup. And it's cool because, you know, unlike maybe the One X where you're like, well, the One X is awesome, don't get me wrong, but you got a device that's a little bit better. This one is the top notch. This has a 2,000 milliamp hour battery. This is what makes it a little bit better than the One X. It has a 2,000 milliamp hour battery, 4G LTE support, and then it has a kickstand on the back as well. So two big differences here in terms of design. One is obviously the kickstand. The other one is, and well, a couple of things, but really two big things. In terms of design. This one's very plasticky, typical Samsung look and feel here. This one has a little bit more of a durable kind of feel to it. It's got a metal side. The battery's non-removable, but it fits a little bit, or feels a little bit better in the hand in terms of a build quality, just because it has some metal accents. The kickstand's metal. You got some kind of plastic here, which this is removable, so you can find the micro SD card slot right here. So it has an SD card slot, 16 gigabytes of storage on the device, and then like I said, the battery's non-removable. Over here, same setup, but you've got access to your battery and your micro SD card slot. Now for some, this battery cover might be a little bit too flimsy, and it is pretty small. You know, it's pretty thin, but it's a thin device all around. 2,100 milliamp hour battery, micro SD card, easily removable, so when you need a new battery, you can pop in a new one, and you can be good to go, as opposed to the non-removable when it dies. it dies. So it's something to keep in mind. You know, obviously this one might dent up a little bit easier when you drop it. This one may not dent up as easily, but it's plastic. Keep that in mind. Over here you got 3 capacitive buttons. You got back, home, and then recent applications, which is a new ice cream sandwich thing, like that. And then over here you got a physical button down here. So it's interesting, you know, that was on the international version when it came out in London. Did not get taken off for the US version. So you got your physical button, and then you have 2 capacitive buttons, which are really, really hard to see because this device is white. And I got a big, bright, shiny light right here. But you got a menu button and a back button, and you can do some cool things with those as well. You can press and hold the menu button to access search. You can press and hold the home button to access your recent applications, and you can easily remove those just like that. And then you can go to Task Manager. Now this is the US version of the Samsung Galaxy S3, so on top of having that processor, it's got 2 gigabytes of RAM. So in terms of that, it does have an advantage over the HTC EVO 4G LTE. You can see quite a bit of RAM here, clear memory. Don't know what 52 applications are running in the background. That's quite a bit, but you do have 2 gigabytes of RAM. Interestingly enough, when I sync this up with my Heron Baker at Gmail account, you'll notice the HTC wallpaper came over from, I think, the 1S, whichever one I had it on last. So that's pretty funny over here. Out of the box, you get some applications. That's really wise words there, Aaron. Let's take a look here. Those are really wise words, rather. Out here, wallet on both devices, visual voicemail on both devices, Sprint hotspot on both devices, although there's no icon over here. I'll show it to you in just a second. Sprint zone on both of these devices, and then the notification bars look like this. You get the typical Samsung shortcuts up here, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, mute. You actually can scroll back and forth, which is a new Samsung feature. And then, of course, ice cream sandwich means you can do that when you're ready to get rid of notifications. That's actually an update, so I can't get rid of that. But you have easy access to settings on both counts. So take a look at the settings here. They look a little bit different, and you'll see here, unlike the international version, you have physical off and on text on top of the toggle. So Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, data usage, more settings. Told you that this one had hotspot. There it is, just so you know what it looks like. Got hotspot capabilities. Personal and then device. So you'll see that they're labeled a little bit differently. Where the Galaxy S3 excels in a lot of ways, they've taken Android 4.0 and they've really installed some great software things on top of it. And I want to walk through these because this to me is what makes this device it takes it a step ahead of other Android devices on the market. So obviously motion activation is on. These are some of the cool features. Direct call means when I have that on, if I'm texting you and I hold the phone up to my ear while I'm in the text prompt with you, it'll auto dial you. So if I have mom, I'm like, Mom, I'm going to be late. And I'm like, I don't want to send this to Mom. I'm just going to call her and tell her I'm going to be late. I can hold the phone up to my ear. Smart Alert is great because if you're like me, you get emails every 12 seconds because you're the editor-in-chief of a tech publication. Maybe you're not like me and you still get emails. Who knows? You get text messages. You have a lot of friends. Smart Alert's great because whenever you move the device, you don't have to look at the notification light on the device. It'll vibrate if you get any sort of calls or messages. Tap to the top, you double tap the top, tilt to zoom, pan to move, pan to browse is great. Palm swipe is that. So you can take a screenshot, and then down here you have palm touch. Now another benefit you'll see up here at the top, I absolutely love. Out of the gate, do not know why Android manufacturers or OEMs rather haven't done this in the past. An actual, and we'll wait for it to focus in here so you can see, a physical percentage. Out of the gate, don't have to root it, don't have to hack it, don't have to install a third-party application. I've got a physical number right there that I can turn on just like the iOS from the menu. LED indicator is pretty cool as well. You can do it when it's low battery, when it's charging, or when it's a missed event like a text message. And then motion, we just covered that. Let's go down here so you can see this as well. Not that, just kidding. Security, we'll go to lock screen, and you can see information ticker, camera quick access. This is actually pretty cool, and we'll turn this on so I can show you this. Come to the lock screen, you have the shortcuts down here. Press and hold, turn to the side, and it activates the camera as a shortcut. So that's a cool feature as well. So just a ton of cool software things out of the gate that really make this device ahead of the rest. Now where HTC wins in a lot of ways, personalization. So we'll come in here and take a look at some of the personalization things you can do. You can change the wallpaper, of course. The skin, you can come in here and you can get more skins from HTC Hub as well. So you can come in here and see, let's say serene. Actually, let's do fracture. So we'll apply fracture and you'll notice the color scheme will change just slightly. And you can download more of these, like I said, from HTC Hub. And easily access those, which that's really, really nice. So personalization, it's all about that in 2012. It's all about how you can make the device your own. Every manufacturer is talking about it. The Windows Phone 8 event, they were talking about it today. It's all about how you can make that device yours because we're all carrying the same devices at the end of the day, frankly. And it's kind of nice to be able to make a device your own. So we'll go in here, back to personalize, which there's a shortcut in the menu in case you didn't notice that. Lock screen style, wallpaper, lock screen shortcuts. So I've got the lock screen style set to wallpaper. Well, I can change it to productivity. I can change it to weather if I want to. We'll apply weather. And so when I turn it off, Assuming Sprint's 3G is cooperating today, you'll see I get this big yellow ring as a result of that fracture. And I've got the Charlotte weather here because it is hot. It is hot here today, and that sounds about right. And you've got some shortcuts here where I can easily go into messages, just like that. Or I can go back to the lock screen. And same thing over here, you have the ability to do news tickers. You can sub out the shortcuts if you want to, change those around and get rid of them entirely. You can put the weather on the home screen. So a lot of personalization on both counts. Both also have 7 home screens. I do give a slight edge to the HTC EVO 4G in terms of widgets, though. Take a look at the widgets here. Got your 7 home screens on both. And I like the fluidity here. And take a look again, just at the fluidity. This one seems a little bit more wonky, a little bit more fractured. No pun intended, based on the user interface that I'm running right now, because it's called fractured. Get it? And then over here you have 7 home screens as well, which you can easily access by pressing and holding those dots and moving through. Now you have widgets up here on both of these devices. You can't access the widgets by Sense 4. You can come down here to see frequent and downloads, but over here, kind of more of a typical Android 4.0 look and feel. You got your downloads folder, but you can easily flip over to widgets. Now over here, press and hold. You have your 7 home screens over here. And I can go like calculator, for example, and it shows in red which ones are full. I can scroll back around until I find one. Let's see what we can find here. Do I have an empty space? I might not have one. Let's see. Nope, they are all full. So I have to go find something a little bit smaller. Battery life, for example, can fit right there. And I can do that all around until my pages are full, until I'm happy with widgets. Over here, I got book, for example, and I can scroll through the various home screens. And again, very fast. And then I have some shortcuts like create folder, create page, app info. So I can come down here and create a folder. And then it should have put it on one of these screens, if I remember right. The folder should be over here somewhere, disappear. But anyway, you get the idea. Book, for example, and we'll drop it right there. So you can do the kind of the same thing. Oh, choose a book to add as a shortcut. That's what I was doing, my bad. Treasure Island as a shortcut. So you can do that and you can delete those. You can also modify the ones down here in the bottom with the exception of apps. There is no way, somebody asked me this on Twitter, there's no way to move the apps button over into messaging where it's in the center, kind of like stock ice cream sandwich. You do have to keep it over on the far right.